I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't know who needs to hear this. But God let that man break your heart for a reason. God allowed that man to disappoint you over and over and over again, to leave you crying yourself to sleep, to leave your central nervous system dysregulated dang near every day, to act like your feelings didn't matter whenever you told him about how you were feeling based on what he was saying, how he was saying it, how he was treating you. God allowed that to play out the way that he did, even on into the very bitter end, where you may have been even willing to give him another chance to make things right, and he still wouldn't take advantage of that opportunity. He still act like it was too much to ask, to just take accountability and start the forward like he couldn't even do that. And it's the reason why God allowed that man to do you like that, because God needed all of that to happen so you could be strong enough to finally leave that man and free up your heart for the man who truly deserves it. And I know that's not nothing that you necessarily want to hear, because we think of God as being this pain preventer. But the thing is, whenever we go and we latch ourselves onto something, or we get ourselves involved in something that God never had planned for us, well, it's not a painless process for him to make that right. It's just like surgery. Surgery is not a painless process. There's a reason why we go under anesthesia. Only thing is, when it comes to real life, where there's no anesthesia, you have to be awake during the surgery, so to speak. But on the other end is everything that you've been asking God for. I don't know who needs to hear this, because I understand it's heartbreaking, it's consuming, it's distracting from everything that you want to do. It's heavy on your spirit whenever you give yourself to somebody and they take you for granted. I get it. I absolutely get it. And then if you believe in God, you may be saying, God, you're supposed to be the one protecting me. And I'm look, I'm not claiming to be this perfect or prophet or nothing like that, but something I've seen be the case over and over and over again. I'm gonna just tell you straight up. God is saying to you, I ain't had nothing to do with that. You have free will, just like you have free will to level up. You have free will to grow and to invest in yourself and to believe in. You have free will. You could have been like everybody else, but you chose to be different. You chose to be of a higher echelon. Like you did. You chose to be cream of the crop. You chose to reserve access to you from just anybody, right? You chose these things. But you let your love for others, your projection of your heart, your values onto others also be your undoing. You looked at that man and said, I see what he can be. You looked at what you experienced with him and said, I see what we could have. But you did not look at that man's heart and say, hold on, wait, what are you bringing? We always say, oh, what women bring to the table. You ain't look at that man and say, what are you bringing? And not to the table financially. What are you bringing in terms of your character? Are you bringing integrity? Are you bringing consistency? Are you bringing accountability? We always say, women, what are you bringing to the table? As if our table just set. You didn't look at that. As somebody who has had to come from A to Z, and you had to claw your way out of certain spots in your life and places, and you had to earn everything. You just automatically projected that this person, no matter where y'all was starting at, things would only go up from there. Things would only get better. You would only have to communicate and make things clear what it is that you wanted and needed, and he would respond accordingly. That's not how it works. And God needed that man to break your heart so you can finally release it to be available for the man that he does have for you. Put out down in the chat if anything I'm saying is even making sense. I want to know if anything I'm saying is even making sense. I understand this ain't the one that's going viral. This ain't the one people gonna want to share and all of that stuff. But I was talking to one of my mentees last night. Some of y'all know I have a Self-Crown VIP group. After my master classes and stuff, I typically will open up for a handful of people to join my mentorship group, where I go much more in depth. Well, it was a few people that had a situation where they were trying to manage a situation, but they was trying to get out of a situation they got themselves into, but they were trying to do it painlessly. And here's the thing. We always want the scot-free, trauma-free way to undo our bad decisions. I'm not here to gas you up or cap or just tell you what you want to hear, sis. The truth is, when you chose that man and you gave your heart to that man, from that point forward, there was no heartbreak free way out of that. Now, the good thing is, because I'm not here to discourage you, the great thing is, in fact, if you choose the right heartbreak, if you will, of just accepting that this man cannot handle you, he cannot love you, he does not come equipped, he doesn't have he doesn't have it. If you can choose, if you can volunteer into that heartbreak of accepting what it is for what it is, and stop trying to paint all of them red flags green, Well, now on the other side is not just the healing for your heart, but somebody who can care for your heart in a way it feels like all of that stuff you went through, you almost gonna have gratitude to replace all of that heartbreak. Like we don't see ourselves the way God sees ourselves a lot of times whenever we choose somebody. We choose somebody thinking more so from where we desire. Oh man, I want this, I want that. I want a companionship, I want dates, I want this, that, and the other. God says, I'm looking at you and what you deserve. And that means you're gonna pass up on some stuff that you desire initially because it don't come with what you deserve. Sometimes you can't answer the question, do I want this man? Does he have what I want? You have to say, does what I want actually deserve me? If he has what I want, if he's this look, if he sounds as good, if we have a good time, does what I want still deserve me? I know he can excite me. I know that we can connect. I know that he can comfort me, but does he actually deserve me? Those are two completely different conversations to have. And we're having one conversation when we don't really know our worth and our value, and we don't really realize because you live with yourself every day. You don't know just how lit you are. The perspective ain't there. It's just like whenever you are losing weight, gaining weight, or something's changing about you, because you're there every day looking at you in the mirror, you don't really realize these little incremental changes. You don't really realize it until somebody pointed out to you. The problem is a lot of y'all are having your worth pointed out to you by somebody who can't even see your worth. And so you go your whole life, one, not being able to see it for yourself because you're with yourself every day. And then two, this man is telling you he's misdiagnosing, he's incorrectly measuring your worth. And then you get fooled, you get gaslit, you get bamboozled into thinking, well, I'm only here. I'm just a normal girl. You are not normal. You're not a normal woman. If you first off, you even watching this says you're not a normal woman. Most women, they only want to watch what entertains them or what confirms their bias. I already done said stuff that's probably done stepped on your toes and ruffled some feathers. And if you're still watching this, first off, I already know you're not a normal woman. Secondly, you're not a normal woman if you're not all around town, giving everybody access to you. I don't care if you say I'm slut shaming. I really don't give a damn. I'm your big brother. I'm gonna keep it real with you, and what you do with this information is totally up to you. But if you're not the type that a man can call up on a whim, or multiple men can call up on a whim whenever they need something convenient and then kick you out the house, you're not like every woman. You're not like most women. I'm saying that as a man. Vagina is not hard to get. It's not expensive. It doesn't take a lot of effort these days. And I don't even have all the answers to what led to that. That's why everything that I say, I'm very specific about who it is I'm speaking to, because I don't even know that. I don't know how to really connect with that other group. But if you are not in that group that can just be summoned at a moment's notice, or you go out and you're so impressed by this guy's chains and his card and you're not like normal women. And so you can't move how normal women move. I'm just keep it real with you. You can't move how normal women move. And the thing is, if you still have those desires, that's a normal woman, which is not the problem here. I'm not bashing on women. I'm just there's levels to this. Sis, there's levels to this. Women are good, men are good. Okay, yeah, but there's levels to this. Everybody ain't the same. And ain't no man going for that neither. But with that being said, you have to understand that if you started off not really being aware of that or operating according to that, if you started off that way and you chose from that place, in order to correct that, it's going to be just like a surgery or chemo, or God gonna have to cut the tumor. God gonna have to reset that fracture, and it's gonna hurt at first, but it gets better on the other side. And that's where I'm getting at with the whole, like, what do you bring to the table? I really wish. First off, understand it takes a man being immature, probably underqualified for you to even ask that question. That's not even a verbal conversation. Any masculine man who's truly in his masculine role knows that's an experience. That's how he gets that message. It's going to be the nonverbal. It's going to be the body language. It's going to be the quality of life enhancement, and it's contingent on something. It's content. It ain't. This is not universal. What you bring to the table it's just like asking a garden what kind of vegetables and fruits and what harvest will you yield. Well, it depends on how it's taken care of. Any masculine man knows that. Can I keep it real with you? Any masculine man understands that. So first off, let's go and get that out the way. But for those of y'all who are like, man, this hurts. This is hard. I'm so heartbroken. I'm so this, that, and the other. This is This is the beginning of something. Either this is the beginning of you continuing on until you crash out, or this is the beginning of a new life. But at some point, you have to wake up to you. Some point, you have to remember who you are. Y'all, everybody else can see your value but you. Everybody else can see how lit you are but you. All you see is what you want. Everybody else can see what you can give. At some point, you got to start choosing according to what you give being reciprocated. That's why it's like, and especially as you grow older, look, when you were 21 years old, when you had a certain level of naivete, when you didn't have the same values, you didn't earn your way up into the place that you hadn't overcome the things you had overcome. There was one thing that may have done it for you. 21 to 25 years old. But the reason why now, if you're a little bit older, if you're watching this and you're 30 and up, the reason why now you probably feel like, man, I'm so much more frustrated. I'm losing my gusto to even date and give guys a chance and make time for these guys. It's because you're overqualified. You're overqualified for the men that are out here, and you're underdeveloped. And now, if you've attached yourself to somebody you're not underdeveloped, you're underwhelmed. And if you've attached yourself to somebody that you're overqualified for, that's going to be your experience. A lot of frustration. Constantly trying to teach him things he should already know. Constantly hearing out the apologies, and you can't even force yourself to believe that they're true. Put I down in the chat if you've ever heard a guy apologize for something, and honestly, even though you kind of was searching for the ability to believe it, you couldn't. You couldn't. It wasn't even nothing like, oh, I know he's lying, because you just wait. It's an inconvenience that he even sitting there apologizing, continuing to take up your time to sit there and talk and explain himself, because you honestly cannot believe him. And you don't even want to be so mean to shut him down, like let him apologize. But I really don't care what you're saying, because I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been there. Put I down in the chat if you've ever. It's not you being bitter or anything like that. You're now in this transition. And so I just did a free video that goes in depth with all of this stuff, by the way. If you see the link pinned down at the bottom or whatever, the realest dating advice ever for women 30 up, that's for you. Because what I've noticed is a lot of y'all are going to experience that frustration. A lot of y'all are the ones that are overqualified because you're in this transition, and it's hard to manage that transition. When you were 21 years old, you weren't really overqualified. You were beautiful. You're a great woman, of course, a great girl at that age, but you weren't overqualified. You still were so naive and so inexperienced that the guys you were coming across, they were kind of equally yoked with you. But now, as you've gotten older, you've overcome, you developed, you've worked on yourself, you've healed some, you're at this age now where you still have the life to live, you still have the energy, and you have all of that of your youth, but you now have the maturity of a completely different person. It's almost like you look back at yourself 10 years prior. If you're 30 and up, you can relate to this. 10 years prior, 15 years prior, there's things that you used to get excited about, things that you used to want to do, and you think completely different now. That's why at that age, you get way more serious about your goals, your health. You don't want to just go and be lit and outside all the time. Like you cannot keep the same taste and preferences and fun habits while your mental has developed so drastically. But you see a lot, not all, because there are men out here who get it, but there are a lot of men who don't have the same trajectory. And so as you get older, there's this transition where you're no longer necessarily satisfied with what you used to be satisfied with, but you seemingly still attract what you used to be satisfied with. You're already in another place, but you haven't yet started attracting that which can meet you at that place. The man who can mentally stimulate you, the man who understands that provision and protection go beyond just the physical and financial. You haven't yet started attracting that. The man that you don't have to fix, the man that you don't have to raise. So you still so fine, you still so lit, you still got it. You ain't old and you ain't done, right? You're not tired and your prime past you. No, you still lit. You might even look better than you did in your 20s. So you still attracting that over there, but you're in this transition and here's the thing, and I talked about this in that free video, by the way, but just like there are 3 seasons of a man's life, which is the Knight, Prince, and King, and that's from a book. I'm not just making up stuff. This is from a book by a psychologist. I forget the psychologist's name, but it's The Amazing Development of Men. There's also 3 seasons of a woman's life. There's the Duchess, the Princess, and the Queen. And what this describes is basically your maturity levels. And as you mature, there's certain things that it's just like whenever we was in kindergarten, when we was in elementary school, we brought color pencils. We made, I don't know, brought coloring books or something like that, big notepads. We got the middle and high school, we had rulers and calculators and stuff like that. And then as you get on up, there's different equipment that you need in order to function at that level of your life. Basically, is what I'm saying. So now, in the dating scene, as a Duchess, there was one set of equipment that you needed. You're beautiful and you know whatever, you ready to go and da da da. Well, if you got kids, if you got grown woman priorities, you got grown women things that you own, you see the world differently. Your friend circle has changed. You don't think that your relationship circle has to change? And I know you do. I know you know that it has to, but a lot of y'all still don't know how to transition that equipment. You're still using coloring books. And you need a calculator. You need the PhD. Some of y'all need the PhD level stuff. You need the MacBook. That's what you need. You need the thesis paper that you've been working on. You need that kind of stuff. So if you are 30 and up, again, after we're done here, matter of fact, you can go ahead and register and come back. So you can save your spot and you can get access to that free video I did. The realest advice ever for women that are 30 and up. There's a very specific way that you have to date in order to come out of that transition when you was 21 and just basically anything would do to now, so that you don't get consumed by that frustration of being overqualified and underwhelmed for the dating prospects that are coming your way. But back to what I was saying, ladies, when that man broke your heart, don't let that cause you to question God in terms of if he loved you or anything like that. Don't let that make you question whether or not you can have a healthy love that's consistent and steady and predictable and just for you. You can and you will. However, God had to release your heart from the one who never should have held it in the first place in order to make it available for the man that truly deserves you. He had to release it. Unfortunately, these bad people, these people that don't mean it's no good, these people that come in unprepared, they have these lockjaws. Whenever they get something they don't deserve, because they know it's only a matter of time before they lose it. They're either going to break it or it's going to get snatched back. So they're going to hold on tight. They're going to hold on tight with the manipulation. They're going to hold on tight with the lies. They're going to hold on tight with the intermittent love bombing and the return of the love bombing until you let your guard down again. They're going to hold on tight. And so as you pull away with everything that you got, or you realize that it never leads to anything. It's just another setup for disappointment. As you pull away again, it's going to hurt, and that's okay. That hurt is the beginning of your prosperity, if you allow it to be. If you take the steps you're supposed to take, if you use the right equipment. Some of y'all don't even know what that is, but again, I went in on that at the video down in the caption or wherever you see it, maybe in the comments. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet brother trying to look out as usual. And if you got something of value from this, all I ask that you pay it for so somebody else can too on your timeline. You'll be surprised what woman needs to hear this message right now, and you could be the one that blesses her. Hit that share button if something I said was helpful. And again, if you're 30 and up, watch the video that's pinned down in the comments or up in the comments, wherever you're seeing it. Watch that video next. It's absolutely free, by the way. This is not, look, free game, put your money away. But if you're 30 and up, there's a completely different approach that you need so you can stop dealing with guys that you have to let go of. But holla at y'all, lady. I'll be good. Peace.